Hey everybody, welcome once again to our Low on Health Rambling. Today is July 7th, 2011. I'd like to say, hey, I hope everybody had a nice 4th of July. Actually, I did enjoy my 4th of July. It was my first day off from both jobs in like over a month. Last time I had a day from both jobs off, it was Memorial Day. In which case, that was about a month ago. In which case, yeah, it was nice to actually have a day off. I did a lot of yard work because it's been raining here, and that makes the grass grow, and the whole salting the earth plane isn't going quite as planned, but kind of relaxed a little bit. Had dinner with my mom that day. The week before that was really busy. I ended up working a lot at McDonald's, a lot of overnights and whatnot, and was just kind of just drumming through the weekend. Most of my weekends now, I shift my whole sleep schedule and just kind of sleep differently because of McDonald's and how I allocate my energy. I had a pleasant little surprise on Sunday. I got a call from my dad's stepmom and the half-breed. They were over in Orlando. They wanted to come over. And I was like, just waking up. Like, I had maybe 4 hours of sleep when they called, and they came over because I had to work early, too, on that day. But it was nice to kind of see them and whatnot. You know, Mackenzie is kind of talking and walking now. She was walking now. She's talking a lot. She was chasing Rufus around. It was nice to kind of catch up with them. I wish I could have more time, but once again, I've been working a lot, as we all know. But, go ahead and get to the things I've been doing recently. I totally forgot to mention the last video, or maybe even videos before that. E3 happened, which is usually that big electronic entertainment expo where a bunch of video game news and stuff comes out, and usually I talk about it a little bit, and just this year just totally kind of skipped my mind to even talk about it on the video because not that much happened. But I will kind of just go over some finer points of it, whatnot, with E3. In which case, E3 this year, for me, was very much the same as last year, in which case Microsoft was pushing Kinect, Sony was pushing their 3D and whatever, who cares, and then Nintendo was pushing some new hardware. So, of course, we have, with Xbox, they pushed more Kinect stuff, in which case the only one that really popped for me was the Disneyland Adventures, which I thought was kind of cool to have basically a theme park tour of, like, you know, almost kind of not one-to-one scale of the park, but being able to explore the park for kids that can't get to it or whatnot. Hopefully they'll be able to do it without Kinect. I'm not really sold on a lot of the Kinect stuff. A lot of Microsoft press conference stuff was them talking about Kinect and how it would be integrated in certain games like Mass Effect and whatnot. And I'm still just not sold on it. It's great for like, tech and stuff, but I mean, I really don't care about it. Once it gets really cheap, I'll pick it up just for the whole kind of just meh of it and just having the functionality. But for actual gaming, I'm not sold on it. Maybe Child of Eden's the only game I'm thinking I would ever play on it. What else we got here? We got the PlayStation Vita, which was the PlayStation NGP or whatever they wanted to call it. Its official name and whatnot, and I think they have price marked it at $250. Really not that much interested in it. It comes down to the games again. Whoop-de-doo. It has better resolution, a touchscreen on the front and back. You know, the camera and whatnot. Granted, my PSP is probably one of the more things I use nowadays as more of a multimedia device because it can play, watch videos, and whatnot. But it doesn't take pictures, in which case this would. But for me, it still comes down to, out of all this functionality for all these products, I would rather kind of get an iPod Touch, which is something I mentioned before. Right now I have the DS is kind of, the 3DS is kind of my main picture taking and whatnot, and kind of just internet browser, but my PSP is still my main video viewer, ebook reader, and still my internet browser to a point, and music player. But it's interesting to see how things are going forward. Ideally, what I would like in a handheld, maybe not necessarily a gaming handheld, would be I'd love to have like an iPad Touch with the 3DS display that does video recording and pictures in 720p. I mean, the video resolution, the 3D picture resolution on the 3DS isn't great. It's doable, but whatever. But with the PlayStation Video, I just don't care. I mean, it reminds me too much of the Go, and nobody really cared about that. Moving on here, we also had Nintendo announce their new console called the Nintendo Wii U. I'm not even going to get in the naming aspect of it, but this is kind of how it is. It has a handheld, still has a console, and it goes to the TV, and it's supposed to be doing high def and whatnot. And they're like, hey, if you want to, you can always just, if somebody else is using the TV, you can just port and play it on the controller itself. And I just don't know what to think about this. I'm not too big of a controller. You know, who wants to play on a tablet? If people are fighting over a TV, then you get another TV for the room. You're not going to automatically go, okay, you can have the TV, I'm going to play on the smaller screen. No, that's not how it works. People that game have separate TVs and whatnot. And I mean, it's going to be backwards compatible with Wii games and some of the things. I just don't know. I think it's just too much. I don't think the normal consumer is going to be that big of a deal about it. And personally, I don't care that much for it. But the only really cool thing that piqued my interest was Sony had their $499. This is like a 24-inch 3D screen, and of course you can do split screen if people have 2 sets of glasses on. You can kind of do split screen, but not really. It's kind of one person will see one screen, one will see the other. I see this being great for dorms and stuff, but this really got me thinking what we really need, or what I would really love, is kind of a 3D display PC monitor, kind of like a 32, 24-inch but with the 3DS technology where it's just no glasses. People are like, well, then you have a smaller viewing angle. You can only really stay in one spot. But when you're looking at your computer right now, you're probably not moving that much. You're probably not going, oh, I'm watching the computer or whatnot. And granted, even with computers, you don't really share it with that many other people. So I would really love to have like a PC display where I could do that and have like just a center thing and just toggle it on and off. So if you want to show other people stuff or you just don't want to deal with the 3D, you can toggle it on or off. I mean, that's kind of how I would think about it. But this is one of the kind of things that kind of piqued my interest. Moving on, because I've already rambled off about E3, I'm going to ramble about what I've been watching recently, in which case I'm going to go ahead and do some rapid-fire movies here. I watched Sucker Punch, which is, of course, done by the, God, I forgot the guy's name, but a really good art direction, really good style. Kind of just a good movie to watch overall. I'm definitely watching it in high def. The visuals are great. The story is okay. I enjoyed watching it. I mean, if you haven't already heard about it or seen about it, I'm not going to go into that great detail. Just go ahead and watch this trailer. Let me go ahead and skip forward a little trailer so it can kind of show some of the more stylized parts of it. I mean, it kind of has a lot of kind of just like a lot of kind of burlesque type of stuff in it. A lot of like a lot of people mention it's stylistic. I'm not gonna bother rambling onto it. Watch the trailer if you're interested. The next movie I'm gonna talk about is gonna be Limitless. This was a movie I was going back and forth on watching because I wasn't too sure about it. But once again, just like Timer, I like kind of the basic concept, the basic plot, you know, of a pill that can kind of, you know, make you smarter and just kind of open up, you know, your avenues and can bring out your full potential. And I really like that part of it. I was kind of too afraid it was going to be too kind of just character development, to character like centric, you know, maybe relationship and stuff. But it's just really cool what he does with it. And it kind of just makes you think if you had that much foresight and that much thinking power, and if you focused on everything so much that you could actually get a lot done and actually line up all the blocks and get everything done. And I like how, like, you know, he doesn't think some things through and the kind of pitfalls of relying on the pill itself. He does have to take it regularly, and that's kind of an interesting point. But I like the movie. I definitely recommend it to people, and I also want to recommend yet again Timer. My mom actually mentioned she watched Timer when I was over there, and I thought it was kind of cool and she liked it. Moving on here, another thing I watched recently was the anime series Baccano, which is, of course, an anime series a lot of people have talked about. It's a lot of people like a list of a series that they recommend that a lot of people haven't watched because they kind of get dissuaded by it. It's a good series. It's got a nice big cast of characters, all very stylized. It's just the whole how it's presented, how it's kind of broken up into like 3 or 4 different time spans, and an episode will jump in between those 3 and 4. That can turn a lot of people off. And I wasn't really jiving with it too much, but I enjoyed it. I really like it. I definitely recommend it to other people, anime fans out there who've probably already watched it. I know I'm just kind of probably late in the game of getting to it, but it's definitely worth it, and I really like the kind of stylized of it. Moving on here, another anime series I decided to watch that I kind of picked up off my own is this one called RideBack. I don't know where I saw this, or maybe it just came out on Blu-ray and I saw an advertisement for it or something, but once I saw the mechanical design of it, which is basically kind of these motorcycles that are robotic kind of motorcycles that the wheels can actually spin out and become legs and actually have the arms that can actually be used and whatnot. I thought that I'll try watching this series based on the mechanical design alone, in which case I thought that was awesome. Then you kind of have the basic premise where it's a ballerina, like an international world-class ballerina, then she screws up her ankle, so she kind of just gives up on that and ends up just stumbling onto this motorcycle thing, and she realizes that her skills and balance and kind of manipulation of her ankles, wrists, feet, and arms and hands actually translate very well into making these, utilizing and piloting these little ride-backs, in which case I thought that was awesome. So yeah, I watched it. I mean, you eventually get kind of a terrorist organization and anti-government trying to take over the world type of element to it, which I thought was kind of cool. But just a really good series. I enjoyed it more than I thought it was, and it was just going off the mechanical design alone. The production values of it are just great, and I really enjoyed it. But that's kind of really about it. Oops, hit the camera there. Other than that, I'm actually watching another anime series that a friend recommended to me, which I'm watching right now, that is called, I forgot what it's called. It's a long one, and I can't pronounce it, but I'll probably talk about it in the next video. But other than that, I'm planning my August vacation, which, yeah, I might actually take a vacation and go out to, I had like 4 days off from both jobs in a row, in which case I might be going out to Orlando, visiting some family and going to maybe one of the theme parks there. But other than that, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time.